All right. The local government elections are looming. They will be held between the 4th of August and the 1st of November this year. 2 weeks ago, the Independent Electoral Commission held its voter registration weekend. Tomorrow, 15 by-elections will be held in 7 provinces. With the country still in lockdown for the COVID-19 pandemic and with a slow vaccine rollout, how ready is the Independent Electoral Commission for August? I'm joined by the IEC's Chief Electoral Officer, Mamabolo. Thank you so much for joining me. And I talk about August, of course, but President Cyril Ramaphosa did indicate a few days ago that his thinking is around October thereabouts. But before we get to the bigger election, let's talk about these by-elections, 15 by-elections. What has gone into the planning for those in the 7 provinces? Mr. Mamabolo, I'm not sure if you... All right, there seems to have been a bit of a break or a delay between you and I. Let's give it one more try. What has gone into the planning for tomorrow's by-election, which comes before you hold another round of by-elections in May?
Our usual processes, supplemented by anti-COVID measures, have been prepared for tomorrow. In fact, starting today, because we are doing special votes. We started at 7, and we started at 9, and will operate until 5 this afternoon. We are offering those who may be in circumstances where they can't leave their homes, elderly persons, those who are substantially pregnant, and so on. So that they can register their political choices. And then tomorrow we will open in the 15 wards at 7 and will run until 9 in the evening. Our COVID measures, anti-COVID measures, every voter has to wear a mask or a covering over the nose and mouth. They'll have to maintain social distancing on the queues, and importantly, they have to bring along a pen so that there's no cross exchange of pens, and with that, then the possibility of cross transmission of people by way of those pens. So, as much as possible, we'd want to urge voters who are coming tomorrow to bring along their pen. We've had an exit at the voting station, and we've made provisions for protection equipment for our staff. On the logistical front, we're ready. Ballot papers printed in the field, staff has been trained, voting stations confirmed. So it's all systems go as it were.
Well, having conducted that other round of by-elections, which was, I think it was billed as, the biggest round of by-elections that you had to run because you were not able to run by-elections for a period of time, and you kept having to go to the Electoral Court to ask for an extension. And then when you finally did, I can't remember the month, but actually it was a massive, massive undertaking in terms of by-elections. Are you able to gauge now what is the impact on voter turnout, enthusiasm, of the COVID-19 and all the restrictions that we're talking about?
Our analysis is that the by-elections, the super by-election we had in November, the turnout there had not been any markedly different from that which we garner during by-elections, an average of 33% voter turnout, which level of turnout that we register across by-elections in the country. So one cannot say that people have been participation has in fact been stagnant.
And let's talk then, you will have another round of by-elections, I understand, on the 19th of May, but we are all now thinking about what comes in October, if the word of the President is anything to go by, when he was speaking in his capacity as ANC President a few days ago. In terms of preparation for that, you mentioned the measures that you're putting in place, Mamabolo, but let me suggest to you that things such as social distancing are really hard to implement where people are queuing. We were seeing those with the situation with the post office, for several months, and in fact even primary health care facilities at clinics, you see queues. It's hard to marshal and police people and ensure that they don't stand on top of each other. You see that also at Home Affairs offices when the systems are down. We were focusing on that yesterday. So just from your side, what is your thinking about how to stage a successful election in such a condition of COVID-19, including the concerns raised about the inability to hold mass gatherings and rallies, which we know are the mainstay of some of our political parties?
Well, Thulasizwe, we are in the process of considering some additional measures which will attempt to spread out voters over a particular duration. The details of that are still under consideration, and as soon as we are able to reach a position, the Commission will then, at that point, make the necessary announcements. But also those things are contingent on the availability of resources, because if you're going to be doing things over an extended period of time, it involves the engagement of staff over an extended period of time, and therefore the additional costs and so on.
Well, Mamabolo,
indeed, indeed, the Commission is alive to the fact that the pandemic we're dealing with is very unpredictable, and the trajectory of the pandemic is currently unknown. Yet, the Commission believes that as a constitutional body, it has to prepare for the elections as if they're going to take place in terms of the time frame set out in the Constitution itself. Of course, if circumstances are such that a major public health disaster abounds, the Commission will have to obviate that by taking appropriate decision to ensure that we do not put people's lives in harm's way.
Mamabolo, the journalist in me is leaping forth, and that's partly why I was sort of interrupting you as you were speaking there. You mentioning that some of the ideas for later in November that you are considering, no firm decisions taken yet, consultations going on, include, quote-unquote, spreading out voters over a particular duration. The journalist in me says the likelihood is there that this could be an election over more than one day, because if you're saying over a particular duration, the duration as it stands now, elections are held on one day. So if you're talking about spreading it over a particular duration, that's not the duration extended period you say. Is it likely that we'll have an election over 2-3 days like we did in 1994?
No, categorically no. We're going to have an election on one day because the law, as it stands, does not contemplate an election over a number of days. But what you could have over an extended period are special votes. Those types of arrangements are those that are being considered. So, if, in other words, making special votes run over several days, perhaps, is the type of arrangements we are looking at. No decisions made in that regard. no funding available in that regard. Discussions are ongoing.
All right, Sai Mamabolo, thank you so much. It would seem, I thought I was seeing a scoop there. Meanwhile, there was none there. Thank you so much there. That's the Chief Electoral Officer of the Independent Electoral Commission, Sai Mamabolo. I had to try, you know. Who knows? I mean, who knows? The next thing you say, I heard it first on all angles on eNCA that, you know, X, Y, and Z. I will not repeat it because that's not the case. He put me right immediately when I made that suggestion.